Good evening, Team Herbalife from the UK and around the world, from what I understand. Evening and welcome to your Monday Night Coaches Academy. My name is Matthew Barraclough. I'm a 15K Executive President's Team member from the UK, and it is my absolute honour and privilege to be your host for this evening, which is week one of a 4-week marathon masterclass, right? But as is tradition, I'm going to start with introducing myself to those of you that I don't know already. My journey with Herbalife started 28 years ago now, and I was just 14 years old at the time. My parents came across Herbalife. A guy was handing flyers out in our local high street, and when they told me they were getting involved, I didn't want anything to do with this crazy shake company, and that's the way it remained for about 16 years. Right, I was around Herbalife. I saw a lot of the success, amazing health results, and a lot of people making a lot of money, but it just wasn't for me until it was, through inspiration or desperation, a little bit of both for me. It was, I decided that now was probably the right time. And it was a particular event that got me, right? It was Extravaganza in 2011. I went along, I sat at the back. I tell you, the main reason I went, it was my birthday that weekend. It was my 30th birthday. And I thought, well, where better to spend it with the great Herbalife people? It'd be a hell of a party, if nothing else. And it felt like that extravaganza was different. Maybe it was just different for me, but it seemed like the people walking across stage, the testimonials, the people were younger than ever, moving faster than ever, and it really got my attention. And I decided that I would come home and give Herbalife everything I had and see what I could make of it. And so, of course, as with most people, I came home and the first thing I took seriously was the products. The picture on the left here, this was me being around Herbalife for 16 years. And the picture on the right is then me using Herbalife for the last 14 years. I'll be honest, when I first started using the products, it's because it was for my ego. I wanted to look better. I wasn't even really worried about feeling better. And more recently, we've got 2 sons. One is 4, one has just turned 1. And now it's about living as long as I can, as well as I can, making sure I'm the most present father I can be with all the energy in the world, and just being the best I can be for them. But in that journey from 2011 to 2020, thanks to our incredible team and mentoring from our sponsors that are forever grateful to David Bevan, Jane Clark, Chairman's Club, we made it to the President's team. And over that time, we did a lot of different things in the ways of supporting customers, finding people, bringing them in, getting them started. And for about 5 years, from 2015, 16 through 2020, we were really focused on running challenges. And, even if I do say so myself, we got really good at running 21-day, 28-day challenges. And so when I was first exposed to the marathons in 2020, I'll be honest with everybody listening in, I probably wasn't the most open to it, right? In fact, the first time I saw it, I was like, this isn't for me. And they told me things like, people are going to weigh every day. And I was like, I don't like the idea of weighing every day. In fact, I've been telling my customers for a long time that you don't need to do that you're more than just a number, stay off the scales. I didn't understand how you could go from running a challenge for 1,400 people. At its height, we had 1,400 people a month on a challenge. How I was going to take care of those 1,400 people, 9 people at a time. That just didn't make sense to me. The idea of bots, technology, although I am a bit of a geek, to be honest, I was like, okay, maybe bots, you might have my attention. And then at that time, there wasn't really proof that it was working in the UK or countries close to the UK. So I was crazy enough, or my ego was big enough, that I thought that's not going to work in the UK. And I look back at that now and I cringe, because the reality is we had to try something. Although we was running these big challenges with lots of marketing behind them, they looked very sexy, lots of people joined, but the reality is that they weren't working as well as maybe we thought they were, right? And over a little bit of time, the marathon started working in other countries, and we was paying attention, and we were hurting enough, and really decided, well, we got nothing to lose if we just put our ego to one side long enough and opened our minds and opened our hearts to something new and was willing to give it a go, then who knows? And so in February 2021, I got started with 3 teams. I really just to prove to myself that it definitely wouldn't work, right? And so started with these 3 teams. The majority of them were just coaches. I said, well, you come and give this a go with me. And I was absolutely blown away by the results that coaches, good coaches who had been on the products for a little while, absolutely blown away by the results that they got. And I thought, wow, if that's what it does for existing coaches or already using the products and already have a pretty good result, imagine what this would do for customers, for new customers, for activating new coaches. And so that was really the beginning. From February 2021, haven't looked back. And in the last 3 years, as an organization, we've gone on a bit of a journey. Okay, initially it was lots of reactivation of dormant clients and coaches saying, look, we've got this new thing. Of course it's Herbalife, but it's different Herbalife, it's new Herbalife. And so a lot of people came back. I can safely say, because some of these people are friends and people that I'm close to in Herbalife, that there's coaches that are still in Herbalife today who wouldn't be if we hadn't made the switch to marathons. The marathons gave them a whole new lease of life, better ownership, something new, and they made the switch with us, and they're still here today. Whereas if we just carried on doing what we were doing, I'd honestly believe they wouldn't be with us today. And over time, steadily adoption has grown today. And we work with a community of 168 captains, and they're captaining almost 400 teams. So from 3 to over 400 in just 3 years, and it's growing lap after lap after lap. But we're still learning and evolving all the time. And it got to September last year, September 2023, and we were already experiencing some amazing benefits from the marathons. I'd never seen retention like it. Like when a team of people start the marathon, it's very unusual if all of them don't want to do the next one and the next one and the next one. It feels like 100% retention. Of course it's not, but it feels like that. Whereas when we was doing challenges, for example, it doesn't matter how many people started, by the end there were a lot less. And so we experienced this amazing retention, consumption of product. I've never seen consumption like it. When we were doing challenges, people would buy a program and they would make it last 21 days, 28 days, until the start of the next challenge. And then they would order again, sometimes 6 weeks apart. Whereas consumption in the marathons, because there's a new lap every 2 weeks, we see clients and customers and coaches ordering much more regularly and therefore ordering much more. Okay, and the results are just amazing too. So we was already experiencing these incredible results, and then we go to Extravaganza September last year, and we start to see real big success coming from marathons, right? Particularly out of Belgium. And I want to say publicly, I don't know if they're listening tonight, but a public thank you to Ilse and Patrick and Gilsey and Tom from Belgium, who stood on stage in Extravaganza picking up new Pres Team pins and new 15K pins, and they shared the incredible growth they were having. And it switched on an awful lot of people to marathons. And for people like me who'd been doing it a little while, it just made me wanted to understand marathons as a royalty building model, as opposed to maybe just something where we was looking after some customers. And that's one of the big things we want to talk about tonight. And so there's been the second part of the journey has been the journeys from September to today, right? We ended up in the Bruges Masterclass in February. 600-700 people in that room. I think there was 72 presidents team in the room, 2 chairman's club, and the incredible founder circle 70K. Leon Weisbein was there as well, and just blew us away with the detail and the vision of, you know, how marathons are going to affect the world of Herbalife. And it's so great today to see the marathons getting the traction they are, creating the success they are, and the fact that now we have a Monday Night Academy for the next 4 weeks, right? I think there's almost 1,000 people tuning in tonight, probably more. We're probably maxed out at 1,000. Just shows you the interest there is and the excitement there is around these marathon academies. So here's the next 4 weeks, right? Tonight is an overview of some fundamentals that some of us have learned the hard way. And we're going to talk a little bit about the technology behind the marathons and one of the key drivers to it, which is the daily accountability, the daily touch points. Okay. In week 2, we'll talk about, creating new players. How do you market to attract people to the marathons? And how do you actually go about running a lap as a captain? Week 3, what happens at the end of the lap? Right, because the few days between the end of a lap and the new lap starting are really, really important to focus. The power of referrals within the marathons, again, never seen referrals like we see in marathons. And then week 4, the importance of the assistant captain role, which I'll talk about a little bit, and the royalty growth that we're already beginning to see within marathons as well. So let's get into it, right? It's a little bit about me, a little bit about how we got to where we are. But we want to start with some fundamentals, right? And each of the 4 weeks that are coming up, we're going to cover these fundamentals on the front end. The topics change, but we're going to repeat the fundamentals every single week, just 4 of them. Okay, we're going to talk about growth mindset. We're going to talk about the marathon marketing plan, how the marathons and the marketing plan come together, how we talk a little bit differently. For those of us in the UK with the pathway, which has been working so well for us for a little while now, how the marathon and the pathway come together. And then a little bit to give you a vision and understanding of the mission that we want to go on in the UK and by the looks of it around the world with these marathons too. Okay, so let's start with the growth mindset. And I'll be open and honest with everybody listening to this. This was probably the missing piece of the puzzle for me 2.5 years into doing the marathons and experiencing all the great benefits from it. But could I really say that there was royalty growth coming from it? Probably not. And then we go to the masterclass in Bruges in February, and the legend that is Leon Weisbein gets on stage. And one of the first things he said was that in the marathon, we are either just entertaining customers or we are building royalties. It is the same thing, but it's a different mindset. Because the marathons are so good at customer retention, as I touched on, it's very easy to fall into the trap of just sitting on the same 10 to 20 customers because they don't go anywhere. Right. And also they bring you referrals. So even if you lose a couple, you tend to gain a couple. And so as great as that is, you can fall into the trap of just having the same 10 to 20 customers. The key to growth with the marathons, and we have to keep this is why it's one of the fundamentals. The key to growth with the marathons begins with understanding that it's so much more than just a customer support tool. I can honestly say, hand on heart, that when we were running the challenges for hundreds of people, thousands of people, it was really just a customer support tool. There was no real pathway or natural step-by-step process for someone to go from a participant in a challenge to a coach with people on the challenge. We didn't identify many of those people, whereas within the marathon, there's a very natural stepping stone process from this to this to this to this, which can take someone from a brand new player, a brand new customer, to somebody who's loving it so much that they want their friends and family to come and join. And then they get the next little bit of recognition, the next little thing to do. And before they know it, they're an assistant captain. And then they can build towards captain. And from there, they're captain with 2 teams. And it's a step-by-step process to a very solid and very sustainable active supervisor business. Okay, so that was one of the key differences is understanding that this is so much more than just a customer support tool. The next thing is understanding marathons and the marketing plan. Okay, when it comes to your personal business, we want to constantly be focused on tracking and looking at how many players and how many teams live within our personal volume. How many people are contributing to that little number at the top of our My Herbalife every single day, every single week, every single month, right? One of the most exciting things that I got from the Bruges Masterclass, again, shared to us by Leon, is because there's effectively 2 laps of a marathon a month, it's almost like you get 2 end of months. You get 1 end of month in the middle, because all your customers are finishing a lap and all your coaches are finishing a lap and they're reordering to go again. And then you, of course, get the end of month again at the end of month. And so we can track how many players and how many teams are contributing towards our personal volume on a weekly basis, on a lap basis, and on a monthly basis. Okay. With that, we can look at the metrics. What's your average volume per player per lap? Now, of course, the idea of these academies is we are largely talking to those of you that are already running teams. You're already captains of 1 or more teams. And so this is really important for you, right? 1, how many teams, how many players are contributing to your personal volume? I'd go and track that and look at that now, okay? And then look at what's your average volume per player per lap, right? Because there's a big difference. If you have an average volume per player per lap of 100, okay, and you have 8 players in a team plus a captain, that's 900 volume per team, right, which is 1800 volume per month, right, 2 laps in a month. If that was 250, it's the difference between 1800 volume a month and 2,500, 5,000 volume a month as a captain running 2 teams. Okay, so looking at your average volume per player per lap is something worth knowing. It's something worth tracking. And then, of course, in your organization, how many captains? What is their average volume per player per lap? How many teams, how many players in their personal volume? Okay, it's a whole different game we get to play now. How many teams are in your organization, right? And how many do you need and how many do your team need to move pin? Okay, we shared this in Bruges at the masterclass. You can see here an assistant captain with 2 or 3 or 4 players in a team. They're going to do about 1,000 volume a month. A captain with 1 team, 1,500 volume a month. A captain with 2 teams, 3,000. 3 teams, 5,000. 4 teams, 7,000 volume points a month. If you want to do 9,000 to 12,000 volume a month, you've got to be looking at 7 to 8 teams within your personal volume. And of course, at that stage, you are developing your own assistant captains and your own captains too. So if you're seriously committed to the marathons, you need to start thinking about how the volume is held up. How many teams, how many captains, what's the average volume per player, per team, per lap? Okay, because then you can forecast how many teams you need, how many captains you need to reach the next pins. The next fundamental is the marathon and the pathway. I'm speaking specifically to the UK guys here because we've been running with the pathway now for 6 months or more. It's done a great job at reinstilling some basics into what we do as coaches. And then when the marathon started to get some traction, there was conversations, and I've had conversation with people saying, but you know, how do the two go together? Are they 2 separate things? Now I'm doing marathon, do I not worry about the pathway? Not understanding is that they've been developed to work in conjunction with each other, right? It's very simple, and when I share this to people, they go, that makes sense, right? We promote the marathon results, and then we invite to a wellness evaluation. Because the wellness evaluation is the beginning of the pathway. It's the beginning of a journey for a new customer. Everything else that lives in the pathway, the nominations, the referrals, fantastic in a marathon, right? The 2-week review works perfectly. Why? Because the marathon works in a 2-week cycle. Inviting to the open, to the bigger picture, just like we do in the pathway, the activation of new coaches. Well, what's the best way to activate them? It's help them to get some players into a team, assistant captain, and on their way to 2 captains and active supervisor. And of course, always looking to build coaches towards 50% to help them become profitable supervisors. So the marathon and the pathway, they're designed to work in conjunction together. If you don't want to do the pathway, you just want to do marathons, great, if that's what you want to do. If you want to do just the pathway and not marathons, then great, if that's what you want to do. But they're designed to work in conjunction. And last but not least of the fundamentals, let's talk a little bit about a UK vision and mission, right? We know the rest of the country is listening to this, right? But let's lay it out for the UK guys. Short-term goal, we want 1,000 active teams in the UK as quickly as possible. We're growing very, very quickly, right? The 1,000 teams is very close on the horizon. 1,000 teams is 9,000 players, right? We want 500 active captains, because if we did have that, 1,000 teams, 9,000 players, and those 9,000 players were consuming on average 200 volume per player per lap, which by the way is less than the average in some organisations in Belgium, right? So we've lowballed it a little bit, but that's who we're aiming for. That'd be 3.6 million volume points a month, supported by this incredible marathon structure. And because the great Eric Worre is training us, and he's talking about, you know, put something out there, something that makes you feel uncomfortable. And when you're uncomfortable with it, double it and double it again. Well, why not 10,000 teams? Why not 90,000 players? Why not 10x it? Why not 36 million volume points held up in incredible support structure of the marathons, right? Just to put it out there, because why not? Right, so they're the fundamentals, right? I hopefully already there's been something in there for those of you that are already running marathons that are making you think differently about how spectacular this could be. Because some of those messages are messages that I got from Bruges that made me go, this is so much more than a customer support tool, right? But now we want to get into week one. And now I get to introduce my co-host for this evening. And considering we've got an international audience, it's only fair that I bring on an international co-host. So it's with great pleasure I get to introduce my co-host, Nadia Hendry, Global Expansion Team from Scotland, 4 years in Herbalife. Nadia, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Matt. Thank you so much. What an introduction. Do you know what? I just had light bulb moments, even though I'm fully invested in the health marathon. I'm like planning out these captains, this volume, these players, and I'm like, people better be taking notes, because that's a masterclass in itself that we're just given in the fundamentals. It was absolutely amazing. I actually wrote notes down.
Amazing. Notes down. So Nadia, let me just say what you can't say about yourself before you tell us your story. The reason Nadia was selected to talk tonight is just last month, right? She was a 10,000 personal volume month, right? She's running 17 teams personally. She's got a league of 11. She personally recruited 7 people. She's got new senior consultants, new supervisors, new captains. It's all going on like crazy. So Nadia appeared on our radar because of her production, and we was like, Nadia, we got to get you on to be part of this first academy to share a few of your insights on what we're doing. But before we do that, Nadia, tell us a little bit about your story with Herbalife so far.
Yeah, so I was introduced to Herbalife over 4 years ago, so January 2020, and it was an online structure. I was introduced by Martin Linden, my upline sponsor. And do you know, the funny thing is, I didn't know I needed Herbalife at the time. I didn't. And I actually said no to Martin for 5 years. But like people from Herbalife, and like we realised, no's not forever. And Martin followed up with me regularly, and he just seen something in me. So I took part in an online focus that I just needed at that time. You know, 4 years down the line, I've dropped 30 pounds. I've maintained it. I get new results monthly. The marathons have reset me. Phyto Complete has reset me. But I was someone that just didn't know. I didn't know what Herbalife was, and I fell in love with it. I fell in love with it within 3 days. You know, I've got so much from Herbalife over the 4 years. Probably the biggest thing for me is self-confidence, self-belief, but it's given me a purpose, a passion, and with that it gives me power. It's given me the power to believe that I can do a 90-day plan, that I can lead other ladies in believing in themselves, that I can show people that, you know, you're not on your own. We can do amazing things together. And I'm going to be really open and honest with you. I got to Global Expansion Team in 15 months. just through pure passion, loving what I was doing every single day. And I think towards, the latter end of last year, everything like here, it's amazing. Vacations, I bought my house, a first-time homeowner due to Herbalife, due to the money I was receiving, the extra income, went on holiday after holiday without worrying financially. On the outside, everything is amazing. I'm very good at smiling, and that's my thing. But I think about 90 days, Matt, about 90 days kind of towards the end of the last year, this all looks great here, but inside, I was missing something. Someone we might know might have asked me a question, and they reached out and asked me, "What are you doing? Your numbers are great." And my numbers were great. They've always been great because I'm consistent. I didn't know what I was doing. I couldn't answer. I sent a voice note. I listened to the voice note back a lot, and I realised that everything I said and divulged made no sense. It made no sense at all. So on the outside, on social media, at events, Nadia's great. She's doing 10Ks. She's, getting vacations. She's qualifying for this. She's qualifying for that. She must be following a great structure. I was winging it. I was winging it and didn't have a clear structure to kind of follow, and I actually felt quite lonely. And you know what? I'm not going to get upset about it because I'm past that part, but I'm glad I felt it. I'm quite an independent person, and Martin and Michelle will tell you that. And we've got a great relationship. But what I can sometimes do is think that I know better. So if I think about the marathons for me and why I love them, what I felt like beforehand about 2020, I was a player with Michelle. I felt like it's not for me. I don't want to weigh in every day. I don't want to be in a small combined chat. I love Facebook. I love our element of the 21-day focus. That's where I can be myself. I didn't want to be the same as everyone else. I didn't want to duplicate, and I thought I knew better. And that's really bad traits to have. But the good thing that Herbalife's done is made me develop as a person and realise that actually you need to stop. You need to put your hand up and ask for a little bit of help. And you need to realise, what you don't know everything. So what changed for me personally was I realised that it's not about winning. That is probably the least important thing in the marathons. It's the least important thing. It showed me that I was losing people in the Facebook groups and my attention. I wasn't getting to celebrate new senior consultants. I wasn't getting that close relationship that I had before. I did feel very lonely. A Facebook group of thousands of people, a team around me that are absolutely amazing, upline that are amazing. I went to kick-off, and I always look forward to the events, and I didn't look forward to kick-off, not because of anything that was, going to be there or not be there, just me personally, and a couple of people picked up on it. I wasn't smiling as much. I didn't have my Get Team pin on, and it was a post-kick-off chat with Jane and like yourself and me, realising that I was pulling myself away from sideline, from groups, from things that actually I didn't know anything about because I thought I knew better. I was doing health marathons, but I was calling them Nadia's accountability groups. And it just was like, why am I making things different when it is all here? There is a structure. I didn't realise the open in the marathon match. I was doing wellness evaluations. I was getting referrals. I was bringing people into a community that was mine. And I just didn't realise that it worked. I was like, nope. And then I realised, help. So where it's got me, 2024, right? Last year was the year of Phyto. Last year was the year of Phyto Complete. That changed my business, right? Then I kind of lost myself a little bit. Didn't lose my business, I lost me. But without me, my business isn't going to grow and my team aren't going to grow. And this year, 2024, is the year of the health marathons. I have went from someone that was doing her own focus to someone that is an advocate for the health marathon. I would probably get that tattooed on me. And I went from 2 teams hiding them, like it's my accountability group, it's just mine to wake and smile, to now a league of 11, 2 captains that are frontline to myself, a captain at second line, girls, the captains that are doing now their first cut active supervisor 2024. These things are all happening sooner this year than they did last year. A shout out to my captains. We're like this. we're so close, and now they can duplicate what I'm doing because I'm duplicating what the UK is doing, and it's just much smoother. New results. There's always a new result to share. Senior consultants, that's not even half of them, I'm being honest. They're coming through the marketing plan, they're getting checks, they're getting rewards, they're seeing the opportunity naturally because they're in a health community that's bringing the opportunity to them. It's like, it's just, it's amazing. I honestly, I literally live, eat and breathe the health marathon, and I just think that it's genius.
Amazing.
And I'm glad that I took myself the time to get to it, but I 10K a month last month, and I'm just going for the 10Ks again. I want my team doing the 10Ks.
Amazing. And I just want to take this opportunity, Nadia, because I didn't fully know what you was going to share there. But I did know that the last quarter of last year wasn't your happiest, and we've maxed out tonight's academy, right? There's more than 1,000 people on. Which, by the way, if your team are messaging you, like my team are messaging me, tell them it's okay. If we need to do it again, we'll do it again. If it's a recording, we'll get the recording out there, right? So just tell everybody it's okay, right? We're sorry they can't be with us live. But Nadia, thank you for being so open and honest with where you were at, because sometimes it's easy to look at the people with the bigger pins and with the bigger volumes and think they've got it all worked out. And sometimes it takes a moment of rawness and openness and reality to say, do you know what, it wasn't as good as it looked like. There'll be people tuning in. If there's 1,000 people on tonight, there'll be a lot of people listening tonight who go, do you know what, that sounds a little bit like where I am. So thank you for being as open and honest as you have been, Nadia. But it's time now to get into why we're here, right? Let's get into a bit of training. Week 1, as we promised, we're going to talk a little bit about tech, the bots and Telegram. I'm particularly excited about talking to everyone about Telegram. And then we're going to talk about the daily accountability things around the marathon. So weighing daily, the daily wellness score, and the non-negotiables. Okay. Let's talk about bots, right? Now, here's the thing. Tonight, we're not going to go into the buttons and the processes and click this and do that. Because number one, it's all pretty intuitive, right? If you go slow, read the messages and follow the instructions. But what we've learned over the last 3 years is, as much as I love Herbalife coaches, they're not very good at going slow, reading the messages and following the instructions, right? So just take your time as you're getting to learn the bots, right? And secondly, it's all in the handbook. Right? The handbook is on My Herbalife in the knowledge zone. Click the health marathon and you'll find the captain's handbook. And in that captain's handbook, right, is everything so much more than we can share on a call like tonight about the 14-day cycle, about how to set up a new team. It's all there. Right? And the reason the handbook exists is so that we don't have to take time on a live call like this teaching you what buttons to push. Right? So the handbook is there for everyone to use. So instead of talking about push this, do that, what myself and Nadia wanted to do is to take each of the bots and just give you some general advice about how to get the most out of them. Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about the Captain Bot first. There's been different evolutions of the Captain Bot over the time. You need to make sure that if you want to be using the latest one, you want to be using the blue one, the alpha version. And the single most important thing to know and remember about using the Captain Bot is this. With all the love and respect in the world, I'm sure you're all great coaches, probably better than me. But the most important thing is don't get lazy. Because we have this bot, which is like an admin assistant for us. Its job is to collect information, collect data, right? Collect weights, collect wellness scores. But it doesn't change anything. You are still the coach, and your job is to use the info to coach your clients even better than you did before. We used to have maybe weekly touch points with our customers, maybe bi-weekly, maybe monthly. Now we have not only daily touch points, but topics of conversation if we use the data that the bot gives us. Okay, the player needs you as a coach, as a friend, as a support, as a guidance, much more than it needs the bot saying, what's your weight today? What habits have you used? What habits have you completed? I'm going to talk more about the wellness scores and the weight in a separate section at the end. But I'm talking from experience here, both personal experience and experience of watching captains maybe not get this right. They go, well, I've got this bot and the bot sends people information every day. It gets their weight. It tells them their progress. It gives them report cards. Like, what am I meant to do? Just set up the team and let it run. Well, if you do that, you're missing the whole distributor difference part of Herbalife. Okay? The bot is always just an admin assistant. And you are the coach, you're the boss of the bot. It gives you the information. Your job is to not get lazy, right? To do the job of coaching. With the player bot, Nadia. Yeah, go on.
Oh, so just in the captain bot, I actually look at it like me and him are a partner. I'm like, do you know what? Like, he does the boring stuff and I get to do the good stuff. That's
Really
that's
good.
the way that I look at it.
Yeah,
It's me and my
brilliant.
husband. So, but yeah, the player bot, right? The player bot is absolutely amazing. So, just to go on Matt said, the player bot's a little green one. That's what you want to be doing and letting your players know about. But for me, I thought about this like when I was in customer service. I used to think about I would preempt a negative conversation at times, like to a customer on the phone. Oh no, you're not going to like this. And I think that perhaps if you're a new coach or a new captain coming in, you might already, if you're not comfortable or you feel like you're a tech phobe, because we say this is tech, right? It's not. It's what you do on your phone every single day. It's like WhatsApp, it's like Telegram chat, and it's like posting on Facebook. You're just typing into your phone and the bot's coming back to you. But when I talk about the bot to my players, I'm like, do you know what? It's going to be your pal. You're going to have me chatting to you every day with your team, but you're also going to get a little bit of information from the player bot. You just update that bot. Take your time. If it doesn't work sometimes, that's life. It's all right. You've got me. He's almost your accountability buddy, one that doesn't talk back to you, and that's how you come to me and I can pull that out. So I make the bot sound fun. I've got some people that were players, like retained them, they were players prior to this bot, and they were so excited to come in and be like, oh my god, I want this, I want to try it. The player bot for me as well is, it's almost like, see, when I'm talking about it, not selling it, talking about it to share about it, it's like a professional tool. It makes me more like professional than amateur. So I've just kind of went forward a wee bit on that, right? Because that's kind of what I do, but it's because I get excited about it, right? So the bot is going to make you be more professional. So actually, if something does go wrong, it's absolutely all right. Take a note of it, take a note of your weight, and send me that later. There's no worries with it. But with your teams that are connected to the player bot, it's fun, it's simple, it's magical, but it's professional. You've actually got a tool here that's an AI tool. That's exactly what it is. No other teams have got that. You've got an online community to bring them into. There's one of the girls in my team sent me this. I didn't ask her. It was from a few weeks ago, sorry. And she can't believe she's absolutely loving seeing her results coming in. So in the morning, she's waking up and she's getting to see her scorecards. That is her personal accountability. See, when you see that green and you see that kind of wellness score going, and even your weight, whether it's up or down, because it's not all about the weight, you're up, you're connecting to your bot and your bot's saying well done to you. Like, again, like for me, that's a great retention tool because no one else has got it. We don't have that anywhere else, no one else that I know anyway. So I think it's a great selling point with regards to this. It makes me feel like I've really got my own business in my phone. And as a captain and as my players, it lets them see that they can do it dead easily as they go along and the kind of journey that they're going on. A wee bit of stats. I never thought that I did, right? But what the player bot does for us as well is it brings to life the human element, but in numbers as well. So when you're connecting your teams and your teams are connecting on that Sunday evening or the morning, whatever it might be, like it's a proven fact so far that 94% of players are connecting, they're on boarding, they're clicking start because they're intrigued. They want to do it. They want to take part. They're already in a group. They've got to know their little team, like maybe pre-lap, and they're connecting. We're going to talk about this a little bit later on about the 70% of the days, but your players will engage. You'll get some people, some days are a bit quieter. If it's a bank holiday, we all experienced that last weekend. But about 70% or 70% of the days you're going to get that engagement. And don't be worried if there's days that people aren't as engaged, because that's life. Right? Things happen in life, but you as a coach and your captain, when you're doing your 2 reviews, when you're talking to them, you'll know that. 81%, I love this, of players are interested in the next lap. Why? because as humans, we get fear of missing out and we want to be doing what the person next to us is doing. So you're going to have that retention rate coming back through. I often get teams saying, oh, I want to come back. And I'm like, who are you bringing? I don't want to be split up. That's the game. That's what we're doing. And you know what? This will probably be a little bit up and down with it, but 32% of players are interested in becoming a coach. What I would take on that is the 32% there, as a captain, I get to see who's really standing out. I get to see who's liking, who's loving, who's engaging, who's bringing that person back that's maybe been a little bit quiet. So I really believe that that aspect there gives you, because you're in your smaller groups and not the group that Matt and Lorna had, the 1,400 people, they've got their little teams. We've got our teams of 9 players, ourselves included. You can really spot potential in people. I'm lucky Matt and Lyndon and Michelle spotted the potential in me on social media, but for me, I get to spot the potential for people in my little groups and really make them realise and believe in themselves and grow in confidence as well. So your player bot is gold. It's doing so much for you, other than just talking to your players. It's doing so much.
It's amazing, you know. If you think about, if this was an app, right, and you were saying to someone, imagine an app that would track your weight for you, track your habits, would share information with you, could connect you to a little community, a personal one-to-one coach, like these apps, people would pay big monthly subscriptions just to have that and have access to that. And all they have to do is be an Herbalife customer, and they get access to all of that through Telegram, a Herbalife coach, and the marathons. Right, it's amazing what we get. It's really dragged Herbalife into the 21st century. AI is everywhere at the moment, and this is our AI, right? So just a little bit of general advice and understanding around the bots before we move on, right? Of course, technology bots, they're not perfect. They're still being developed. Just have a bit of patience with it, right? This is a bit of fun, right? But genuinely, this question pops up in our captains communities fairly regularly. They go, I've got this message from the bot. It says, try again later. What shall I do? Well, call me old fashioned, but try again later. Right? None of this stuff is life or death, right? It's not time sensitive. If the bot says try again later, give it a few minutes, give it half an hour, give it an hour, and try again later. Don't get frustrated with the bot, because the bot doesn't care, right? People say, I'm not good with technology. As Nadia said, this isn't technology. If you can read, type, and click, right, you can send a message, then you can use a bot. The most important thing about the bots is don't make it about the bot, right? Make this about everything else that we do in Herbalife. Make it about the coaching, make it about the community, the support, the fun, the results, the recognition, the habits, the education, the stories, the people, the progress. That's really what makes this whole thing tick. And then we've got the bot that does the admin for us. If you focus on everything else, if there's a problem with the bot, nobody cares, right? So the main thing about the bots is don't make it about the bot. They're your friend, they're your admin. Don't get lazy with them, right? And watch this whole thing tick for you. Okay, so that's the bots. Now Telegram, right? One I'm passionate about. Bit of Telegram 101. Telegram, it can be your greatest asset or your greatest distraction. It's either working for you or against you. You either master it or you become a slave to it, right? It's the same as all social media. Right? If we could run a poll now of who finds themselves spending too much time on social media, those of you that told the truth would tell us, right? And Telegram has the potential to be just another distraction if you allow it to be, right? Again, let me ask you a question and you can answer for yourself from the comfort of your own home. Are you the type of person that is regularly overwhelmed by the amount of messages, right? Do you find yourself missing important stuff? You're the one that's regularly in the groups going, where can I find like the link for tonight? You know, we all have them in our organizations. And do you feel like you're playing whack-a-mole? I don't know how that'll translate, but you know the game where you have to hit the things and keep them all down like the notifications on your phone? Well, Telegram, just like anything, can be a bit like that. If you don't learn to do 3 things: organize, prioritize, and discipline yourself around it. Okay? Being organized, it's really about, the best thing you can do is create some folders within your Telegram. Okay, these little folders at the top, this is my Telegram, you can see them at the top there. To create the folders, click settings in the bottom right hand corner, click on chat folders, create a new folder, and then what you can do is you can move then chats from the main thing where they all come in, just like you can do with your emails and everything else, exactly the same. Click add to folder and off it goes. That way you can categorize, organize every chat in your Telegram. And then what I'd encourage you to do is to put them in order, a certain order. So set up your folders, okay? Put the right chats in the right folders, okay? Number 2. And then what you can do is pin the most important chats in that folder to the top of that folder. So now you have some priority in there as well as organized. You then need to put the folders in order. And here's what works for me. Right? And it works for everybody that I've taught this to who bothers to go and do it. Across the top of your Telegram, if you put them in order, the first folder is things that are important and urgent. Right? So they're the ones that you look at first. Then you've got the ones that are important but not urgent. Right? By the way, some people live their life this way and it makes a big difference. Right? So your next folder is important but not urgent. Then you've got the stuff that is interesting, valuable, but it's not important and it's not particularly urgent. And then you've got noise, right? And we are all in, maybe not you, right? Maybe I was the only one. But in my experience, when I ask my coaches to send me a screenshot of their Telegram setup, most coaches are in a lot of chats that are predominantly noise. And if that noise is being able to take over the important and urgent stuff, the valuable stuff, that's how you end up missing the important stuff. But if you can just organize it and you can prioritize, and then you can get disciplined about only looking at the things that are urgent, important, and valuable before you start getting involved in all the noise, it will completely change how you use Telegram. Right? What's your thoughts on it, Nadia?
That's one of the reasons that I'm loving the health marathons, because with Telegram, again, it's a professional tool, right? It is professional. So I've got mine all set up. I've done it months ago. I've got everyone categorised into what folder they need to be in. For yourself, I've got you pinned in the pathway. You're pinned at the top. You're that special. So you're pinned at the top in the pathway. And then it's the open chat. Then I've got, BIG with like my press team, David, Jane pinned. Then I've got my team. Then I've got Team Aspire, the organisation. And everyone's in the right place so that I know where I'm spending my time. Now, I'll leave some of the noise folders and I won't look at them because I know I don't need to. They're not a priority. My priority is my health marathon teams, my captain's chat, and the captain, overall chat, where I'll find information. Which can I say, as a captain, it is honestly a priority to start learning to maybe search for something in a chat before asking, I would say. And again, I say that to help people because, again, as being a team leader before, I was someone that would give my agents the answer. And I think it's so important because we're creating leaders, and as a captain, you are a leader. It's to go in and search for things rather than where is the link, where is that, because it is all there. And it's okay to miss it is. But if you've got yourself all organised, you just go into the search icon, and it's a wee bit of an achievement when you can start just navigating through that yourself.
Absolutely, yeah. And important point here, Nadia, about how much time we spend on Telegram, right?
Yeah, do you know what? Last year I gave up my full-time job, so you'd say I'm full-time Herbalife. I don't sit 9 to 5 on Telegram. There's not a chance at all that I could do that. Do you know, whether you've got 8 players, 16, 24, it's not a full-time job to respond to everyone, to talk to everyone. It is, it's something that makes it really attractive for me is I'm on the go, I've got my phone, I know what I'm doing. So again, I prioritise my time that I'm spending in the teams. I love my teams. I know everybody. I know everything about them, but absolutely can run my teams effectively, definitely between 15 to 20 minutes. I now know that I can actively go out towards the next lap and say that I've got the capacity to put in another team. Why I know that is because I'm organised, I prioritise, and I'm very, very disciplined. But you need to be, but then it allows you to have the fun. It does. Kind of going back to the folders is a non-negotiable. If you have got marathon teams, you should have folders. If you're using your open, which you should be if you're using the marathons because they merge, you should have folders. And it just means that you're in control, you're your own boss, and there's nothing more liberating than looking at it and going, it's all good. We're going to talk about forwarding. This is my favourite, right? I also just love your face in this. I'm going to be honest. The hat thing as well, it does it. So I love forwarding. So something again, as a captain, I listen and I watch the videos, right? So I know about forwarding because I watched your video on forwarding, right? So I didn't miss it. So for me, the forwarding aspect is so, so important. I'll give you my scenario. I went from 2 teams to 5 to 6 to 7. Could I manage 7 teams if I was in manually doing everything all the time? I don't personally think so, because it wouldn't be enjoyable. The forwarding option, for instance, if you're looking at Matt here on the video, if I wanted to send that video to my 7 health marathon teams, I go on there, I click on it, and I choose the forward option. But guess what? I'm human, right? I don't want my teams to feel like they've just been forwarded on, that they've been CC'd into something like an email that goes out to everyone, that they don't care, they don't matter, because they do. So the forwarding option allows you to hide sender. So hide your name on there as well. And then what that does is it just sends it like a brand new message to all the teams. And it's really, really simple. So in the morning, I've got my good morning from my captain bot. He says good morning first at 5 a.m. and I go in at 6. When I go in at 6 a.m., I forward the message to everyone. Now, that's not to say that every conversation I'm going to have all day is going to be, the same conversation repeated, but it's the initial wake and smile, it's the initial thermal tea in there, the shake in there, and it sparks the conversations. The hide sender, I'm going into my screen there, that hide sender name is Gold Dust. It is gold dust, because having 7 teams, I need them to know I'm there for them, and I'm not just forwarding on information that is quickly not read. And I do mean it when I'm sending it on to them all, but it just feels more special that it's not just forwarded. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. And also it's an etiquette thing, because if you're forwarding stuff from other groups, but if you don't hide the sender, it means everyone in the group you forwarded it to has access to the group that you just sent it from. Right?
And also, you've not thought about it yourself though as well. It's like a bit of, I know copy and paste and duplication, but it's like, they're yours.
Yeah. The tip is, guys, don't be lazy about forwarding. It's a fantastic facility, but if you can do it without sharing everybody's contact details and links to every group, it's just a better way to do it, right? And then this last one, by the way, I'm just about to save us all about 50% of our notifications, right? So just stay tuned in for this one. The difference between reacting and replying to messages, particularly if you're in bigger groups, right? Everyone you share a chat with will thank you for this if we get it right. Okay. What is react? Well, react to these little things. You see these little heart emojis, the little emojis that you can add to a message, right? What is reply? These big thumbs are replies, right? The big thumbs are the bane of my life, right? Now, why is that? It's because when we react to a message, no one gets a notification. It just sits neatly below, but it adds to the overall feel of the group because it shows you who's engaged, right? When we reply, everyone in that group gets a notification that something's been posted. So they go in to see what it is, and it's one of these big giant thumbs. So if you're in a group with 100, 200, 300 more people, more than that, and people are replying instead of reacting, it could be 20, 30, 40, 50 messages a day that everybody is getting that they don't need to be getting, right? My request is don't be the person creating pointless notifications. I talk to my guys about having a double tap culture. In Telegram, on any message, if you just double tap, it will put a reaction on it. And then you don't need to put a big thumbs up, or you don't need to say love this or thanks, because they are as equally as pointless as a big thumbs up. And it dramatically reduces the number of notifications we all get. 9 times out of 10, a reaction will cover it. If we all did that in all of the groups we're in, we've just saved ourselves thousands of notifications, right? And we could
It
all
does.
do with, go on it.
So, and you know, with Telegram as well, that could be one reason sometimes that you feel like I don't want to have extra groups, or I don't want to, you know, have more health marathon teams, or I don't want to go into this captain one and that captain one for the fear. I think it's the notification fear is what a lot of people get, because you do get overwhelmed. And this is key, honestly. You'll enjoy your Telegram a lot more as well if you follow this really. This is a lifesaver.
Yeah. And by the way, same with social media, right? We all know people who feel the need to take a break from social media because it's overwhelming.
Yes.
But if they learn to organize their social media and be disciplined with it and prioritize, it can't overwhelm you, right? It's a decision between being a master of something, be a master of Telegram, make it work for you, rather becoming a slave to it because you haven't owned it, you haven't organized it, you haven't prioritized it. Okay, so that's the tech stuff, right? We're going to get into daily accountability now. This is something that makes all the difference in the marathons. We're going to talk about the daily weighing, the wellness score, and some non-negotiables. Okay, I'll start with the weighing daily because, you know, both Nadia and I, we both shared that this was a hurdle for us, right? That we had to get over. Like, we years of telling people, you don't need to weigh every day. We don't want you to weigh every day. Please don't weigh every day. And then go into this, which encourages it, expects it almost. And the reality is, although some coaches get hung up on this, most customers don't have an issue with it at all, is what I've experienced, right? Many are, if not most, they're already weighing too often, right? But they're doing it with no guidance, no understanding of why their weight fluctuates. And because they've been doing that for quite a while, it can create quite a dislike or a bad relationship with their weight, with the scales, right? And we're going to come back to that in a minute. But what I realized, I mean, literally days into my first lap, was that creating that daily touch point in customers rather than a weekly, a fortnightly, a monthly, made me a better coach, gave me a better relationship, because it allowed for daily observations, daily coaching. It allowed me to fix minor things immediately rather than to retrospectively try and work out why they didn't get the results that they should have done this week based on what they said they were doing. Now I know exactly what they're doing because I see their wellness score every day. Okay. Amazing thing was seeing how much more thoughtful customers were about their choices when they know they got to get on the scales every day. And when they're more thoughtful about it, they make better choices. When they make better choices combined with the products and coaching, they get better results quicker. How quickly customers begin to understand and accept the fluctuations that are gonna happen in their daily weight. Right? Initially, they're like, "Oh no, I'm up. Oh no, oh yes, I'm down. Oh no, I'm up. Oh yes, I'm down." But very quickly, they get over that. Why? Because weighing daily gives us the opportunity to educate them about why it goes up and down, and that we're looking for a trend over time, and we're not particularly going to celebrate somebody losing a chunk of weight overnight because they haven't lost a chunk of fat. They've lost water or food or whatever, and they begin to go, and you go, by the way, that's why you don't like your scales, is because you was weighing every Monday and you didn't have much chance because on the weekend you ate more than you usually ate, and so your weight was up and you wondered why you was never losing weight, right? I was amazed with customers confronting their weight daily, how quickly they became less obsessed by their weight and more focused on their choices. It was a huge breakthrough for me, and it happened in the first couple of laps. I was like, okay, now that hurdle has gone, now there's actually nothing I dislike about this model. In fact, what I disliked is probably the most powerful thing when it comes to being able to coach someone. Having said all of that, what if a player really doesn't want to weigh daily? Okay, and we have this, of course we do. And here you have to be open and understanding, right? You got to have a private conversation with them to find out why, right? Is it a minor thing? Some people go, I don't want to weigh daily. And they go, why is that? They go, well, I can't. I haven't even got scales. Go, well, for 12 quid and an Amazon delivery, could you get some? Oh, yeah, I suppose I could. Okay, so do you want to weigh daily? Yeah, I will. Go, well, that was easy. That's a minor thing. Or they go, I don't want to. I don't like the number. It makes me sad. Well, what if we could help you understand why you don't like that number, why it goes up and down? What if you allowed me to coach you over time to help that number start going in the right direction? And by the way, we can focus on other things as well. It's just a daily check-in, really, is all it is. Would you rather do measurements? Would you rather take pictures? It's up to you what we focus on. But for most people that go, oh, I don't like the idea of that, it's a minor thing that's easy to help them get over. And if they just do it for one lap, they'll quickly get over the whole thing. On the other hand, is it a major thing? Right? And you know, I'm a Herbalife coach. I'm not qualified in anything outside of being a Herbalife coach. But some people have things in their past, which means that, you know, psychologically they're just not ready. They don't want to be a number or be judged by a number or be in something that involves a number. And at that point, particularly now, because of what Nadia is going to cover next, we need to be patient. We need to be understanding, supportive. We need to help them understand there's still a place for them with us, right? Now, that may not be marathon, but of course, there is a way for them to do marathon now as well that doesn't involve weight at all. So just be conscious and aware of that we help people that have minor issues with weight. We help them confront it and get over it and get on, right? Because otherwise, what's the other option? They live with that issue for the rest of their life. That's no way to live. Or if it's a major thing, let's just do the right thing and take care of those. And I wanted to share this, right? Because it made a difference to me in building it. Those people that don't or won't or can't weigh daily, okay? Because what we want, of course, in the marathon is we want people to stand on the scales and submit a weight and a wellness score 10 days out of 10. Right? That's, of course, what we want. Okay, what we get is this. Nadia shared earlier that 70% of players engage in the bot daily. Well, what does that mean? It means that people on average are going to submit a weight and a wellness score 7 days out of 10. Right? Now, I could be wrong, but the 7 days tend to be these 7 days. The first 3, they're great, right? Thursday, it's not new anymore, so they forget that. They go, oh, I missed that one. So Friday, they're great. Saturday and Sunday's a weekend. Monday and Tuesday, they're back on it. Wednesday, they forget. Thursday is the last one, right? And so that tends to be the 7. A suggested minimum requirement, right? And in Bruges, Leon Weisbein said to us, listen, if somebody wants to weigh at the beginning, weigh at the end, and weigh in the middle, good enough. They're in the game. They're around the community. Now we have the wellness scores as well. We can focus people more on that. For me, like, I want a weigh either side of the weekend. So for me, I go, look, 4 is enough. Monday, day 0. Friday before the weekend. Monday after the weekend, and then the last day is your weigh out, right? We weigh in on day 0, we weigh out on day 10, because the weekends are where most people get it wrong, right? And so we want to see what damage the weekend is doing, and the only way we can do that is a before and after weekend, right? Just that's what I do as a suggested minimum. You got to do what's right for you, but you got this, right? And I'd encourage us in the marathons to avoid this. If it's just an every 10 days, weigh in, weigh out, with no real connection in the middle of their habits, what they're doing, no touch point coaching, why it goes up, why it goes down. Because the first one is what we promote. That's what we want. 10 out of 10. Is it achievable? Yeah, we have players every single lap that do weight and wellness score every day. What we get is this, right? That's what we expect. It's real life. Even us as coaches, right? We have days where we miss. Allow this as an exception for those that, you know, don't want to weigh every day. They're just beginning to warm up to it, because that still allows for coaching. But avoid this, because this isn't a marathon player, really. This is a traditional Herbalife customer who you're going to check in with every 1 to 2 weeks. And that's okay. There's still room for traditional Herbalife customers in Herbalife, but someone who's maybe just doing just the start, just the end, maybe they don't even want to engage in a small group, in a chat, in a community. It's okay. They're welcome in Herbalife, right? And by the way, they can be welcome in your marathon teams. But if you have too many of those in a team, you're going to have very quiet chats. You're going to struggle to build community. And without community, you struggle to get fun and excitement and referrals. And without that, well, we're just entertaining customers. We're not growing a royalty. Okay, so just a little bit on weighing daily. Nadia, take us about the game changer that is the wellness scores.
It's a total game changer. So, with regards to the health marathon, it is all about health. And for me personally, again, it's given me this full other audience network where it's not just weight loss, it's a wellness aspect. And we're a wellness company with regards to, your inner, your outer nutrition, the healthy active lifestyle. And it does allow you to work with anyone. So no matter kind of what their physical abilities are, their age, their weight, their body physique, it doesn't really matter, because actually we're working on habits that are fundamental in life. Sleeping better, getting outside a little bit more, ensuring you're having those balanced options. I still say, your 2 shakes, your balanced meal, etc. But it allows you to pinpoint what is it that you're missing out on that's impacting you not getting results. I believe that the wellness scores allow you to just open up a full other conversation, another avenue to conversations that you probably weren't having before. It takes away the weight standing on the scales, albeit it's the most important, but it changes why it's important, because actually I've got a chat where it's one of my health marathons where it's age is just a number. Duplicated and went for that 40 number of ladies, and we're not focusing on weight, we're focusing on the wellness habits. Me, as a woman that's nearly 40, I'm getting outside more. Why? Because I want to have my gold stars on that wellness tracker as well. It allows you, again, with regards to seeing the numbers, seeing who's quieter, and I suppose it'll allow you to identify those people that are weighing in and weighing out and just doing it at the end. Because actually, how are you tracking if they're sleeping better? How can you talk about other products like maybe night mode or night works, or increasing the protein aspect if they're only having one smoothie or one shake versus two PDMs? So the wellness scores for me is a conversation that's really, really important, but also it gives players something to share, right? Because not everyone wants to share their weight or share their number. That's a fear that a lot of people have, right? I've got a girl here, Amanda. I met her for a walk, my walking group. Avid that she didn't want to take part in anything to do with Herbalife because she didn't need to use the products. I spoke to her about the wellness factor. I spoke to her about the online community. I spoke to her about a group that I had because she's nearly 40. Do you want to take part? She posted this on her social media when I asked her to, but she posted a lot of content that wasn't just a wellness scorecard. So for her sleep is really, really important. She's had a weight loss journey, but she's actually just about to hit half a stone. She'll probably hit it tomorrow, to be fair. But she shared there why she's loving it. She didn't put up the number of what she's lost. She put up there what she's loving about the health marathon, the community, the people, the team, and seeing herself just getting better habits. She's getting up at 6 o'clock and doing the 7 o'clock workouts on the Facebook community. She's going to walk with her little girl. And for me, that's powerful, because her sharing that has now opened up another avenue with regards to who's now interested and referrals to come in. But it's based off of how she feels. It's not based off of me saying it's great to have a shake and it's great to have a thermo tea. It's based off a real life experience on the wellness scorecard. And if we didn't have that, she wouldn't be feeling as good as that. Ask them to share their scorecard. You see, obviously, your teams all together. But do you know what? You're there to coach. Don't be scared. Don't wait to the end and say, let me see your scorecard. Do it, it does prompt you at times, certain things will prompt you to ask certain questions at times with the bots, but be professional. Schedule it into your 10 days. Is it a Wednesday where it's Wellness Wednesday? Let's have a wee 5-minute chat. Share your wellness scorecard. Let me pinpoint how you're going. Let's see if we need to move anything. It's a professional, fun game, and we've got all the tools there. And to be a better coach and to be a better captain, use what's there. You don't need anything else. You don't need to make up anything else. It is there. And honestly, that's just, when I look at that, it just makes me so happy.
It's amazing, think of it as like a midterm report card, and we can ask
Yeah,
these from our customers on day 3, on day 7, on day 10. Again, it creates that conversation, it creates that coaching opportunity, that is so important, because your captain bot, it will tell you how many stars they got for a day, but it won't tell you what they did and didn't do.
yeah,
So as captains, we as coaches, we have to be proactive about send me your card, post your card in the team chat, because people are much more likely to do that than they are their weight, and it creates the
yeah.
conversations about how they can be a little bit better. Perfectly shared, Nadia.
Well,
And last but not least, non-negotiables. Okay, again, things that we're going to ask our players to do daily. The bot asks them to do 2 things: weigh daily, wellness score. But what you can do as a captain is you can decide what your non-negotiables are. And these can vary per team, per player, even or per lap, and even per player. Now, the reason non-negotiables are important is you've got to have them, and you've got to communicate clear minimum engagement requirements between somebody who's an active marathon player and someone who's just using Herbalife products, right? It gives the players structure, and it gives you as a coach a reference point at the end of the lap or mid-lap to say, do you know what, we ask everybody to do these things to be part of the marathon, and you know that's what we're all meant to be doing, and you're not doing it. Is there anything else I can do to support you? And again, it just opens up that conversation. An example of just our non-negotiables, and I'm not saying anybody has to do these, but it would be wrong if we weren't sharing what we were doing and what was working for us. One of them is we do these 5 W's, right, every morning, where all our players, we go, have you done your 5 W's? The 5 W's are wake up, go for a wee, submit your weight, submit your wellness score, and drink a large glass of water. And then declaring your 5 W's in the team chat, you can see here, 5 W's, tick, 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 5 W's, tick, 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 tick. And so first thing in the morning, our chats are alive with our players declaring their 5 W's. It's just a fun thing. It's just a simple thing. Is it a game changer? No. Do you have to do it? No. But does it light up our chats every morning? Absolutely, it does. Another thing we do, and I think this is probably across all the teams, is every morning a non-negotiable in our teams is we want to see that Herbalife breakfast picture. We want to see the shake, the tea, the aloe. If you're a coach, a captain, we want to see the supplements. We want to see your Herbalife ideal breakfast. And last but not least, at 5 p.m. each day, some teams, they do a food diary. What have you done this day? We do something called intentions, where they set your intentions for the next day. No right or wrong. But again, it's one of our non-negotiables. So there's 3 non-negotiables a day. You declare your 5 W's, you post your breakfast, and you set your intentions for the next day. That gives us 30 non-negotiables for the lap. And then we have our 5 strikes and your... Now, I'm not going to say out, because have we ever thrown anybody out? No, not really. But by planting the seed, hey, look, these are the non-negotiables. If you're going to be in, be in. If very least, just do these 3 things. Then, like I said, it gives the players structure, it gives us a reference point, it makes sure that our teams are full of engaged customers. Right, so non-negotiables, I'd encourage you to have them. And just before we wrap up here, I just want to take this opportunity. Nadia, you've been amazing. Thank you so much for not only what you're doing and leading by example, but for sharing so openly and honestly, and sharing some of your little pearls of wisdom too. Thank you very much, Nadia. Great job.
Thank you.
Good job. So let's wrap it up. That's week 1 done, right? Intense, yes. Long, yes. Apologies, no. Sorry, but if this is going to be a royalty building thing for us all, we got to get into some of these details. What I will say is this week, is probably the most boring one you're going to have, right? Because we went through bots and fundamentals and technology and stuff. By the time we get into week 2, creating new players, building new teams, running a lap, that's going to be exciting, right? End of lap referrals like you've never seen. It's going to be exciting. Assistant captains, royalty growth. Set the alarm in your phone, put it in your diary, 8 p.m. for the next 4 weeks. The this is what we're going to be doing with people much more exciting than me. You know, we're on a countdown now to a big event in Epsom, Sunday the 28th. We'll do 3 weeks of academies, then we're going to go to the mega, and then we got one more academy after that. Tickets are available now. All of these legends are going to be there. They're all going to be speaking. And by the way, so many that aren't on this picture as well. By then, we're going to be not only sharing marathon stuff, but celebrating marathon success. So please do everything you can be to be with us. And our last slide, if you're not sick of me already, Wednesday night, I have the privilege of being the host for the Open Online Experience. This is where we bring our customers to learn a little bit more about Herbalife, the company, the history, the credibility. We'll share some success stories too. And so if you've got players in your marathon, right, that you would like to expose to the bigger picture of Herbalife, then feel free to invite them on to Wednesday night. I'm hosting it, so you know what you're going to get. And we'll see who else we can inspire to join this amazing company. Everyone from around the UK and around the world, thank you so much for being part of this week 1 of the Marathon Masterclass Academy. I hope it made a difference for you. Go and light up your chats. Tell everybody if it made a difference to you, and we'll see you next week. Thanks, everybody. Goodbye.